everybody, Wayndre here, and welcome back to episode 2 of Factorio. Now today I want to work on power generation and starting to lay out our furnace setup. Now this is also episode 2 of me voicing over my recording because I'm an idiot. No, we're going to get started with the power first. Just going to place my pump, and then we're going to use underground pipes to lead from there to the boilers, because I like the way they look better, because they're out of the way, they don't show up as much. Plus B, you can actually run stuff over them, so if you want to run conveyors or wall turrets, whatever, you do that. So I'm using the blueprint here that I found to use with, well, the new optimized blueprint for this patch of how our steam generation or steam power generation should be. I'm using 10 blueprints, which is 20 steam engines, which should produce, well, they produce 900 each, so 2 of them will produce 1800 power. So this entire setup should produce almost 10 kilowatts of power, probably 18,000 kilowatts of power. So about 20 megawatts, if I do the math right, which I don't know if I am. But we're only going to be using one setup first. But what I want is basically the coal coming in from the bottom and looping back around, and then if I need to expand it more, I can actually have it go between the pipes and go up that direction, or up a bit, to kind of continue on. But there's other power generation, like nuclear, there's solar, there's plenty of stuff. But I'm going to have it come this way, and then the power poles are going to go that way and provide power to the rest of the network, or the rest of the factory. So now the boilers each boiler can provide enough steam to fully run, 100% run, 2 steam engines. It used to be, I think it was 13 boilers for 10 steam engines. So they've kind of inversed it. Less boilers, more steam engines. Because it was ridiculous. You had these big long lines of boilers for no reason whatsoever. So I'm just going to run the power lines here. Sorry about that, I'm typing at the same time I'm voiceovering. So I'm going to run the power lines here. These, I actually kind of use these as well as kind of like distance. So if I want to go a certain way, but it's not going to fit on my screen, I kind of run a line of those and say, okay, this is how far I'm going to go. So now I've got the blueprints for a lot of the early game stuff, but the one I want to use here is actually my furnace one. But you can actually use the blueprint book, and actually you can, when you have it selected, you can actually shift scroll, and it will actually scroll through all of the blueprints that you have inside of the book. So it's kind of an easy way to get to it when you're quickly doing buses or furnace production or anything like that, to kind of get through it. Now this is the main bus I want to use. This basically is a factory that produces a factory. It produces conveyors, it produces anything early game that you need to actually build a factory. But the one we want to kind of worry about right now is this one. This is our smeltery setup. I want to do iron first. Now I want to have it offset from the power poles, so I can actually run coal towards the inside of that, and then run that into our into our furnace lines. Now, originally, I'm going to put this like 4 away from the power poles, which is, you can see me trying to count out 4 spaces. But then I realized that looks bad, so I decided instead to put it in between the power poles. Now, I put it a little bit down so that I have enough room to kind of use the underground belts to go under the coal line that'll actually be on top of the power poles. Because that's going to be the main line to go over to the power generation, and then we'll have a line that comes down. Now, the way this is set up, that splitter will actually feed in copper or your ore or stone or whatever, and the bottom one will actually fill in coal. So basically what you have then is the outside conveyor is a dual supply of both your ore and your coal. So your lines are kind of, you don't have to have 4 different belts to your inputs, especially with a furnace system, because you don't really need to have that much. All you need is really to have your power supply, and those actually run independent of each other. If you have too much iron or ore, it'll stay on one side. Now, I did screw up here just a little bit, and I didn't, at this point, I didn't know if I wanted to put them, like I said, between the poles and this one, or if I wanted to put it right next to it. So I'm actually using the deconstructor plan to get rid of that. So this will basically deconstruct any blueprints you have, or it will select items for deconstructed by, like, when you have construction robots. Now, I looked at this and I was like, I don't know if I want to have it that close to each other. But then I was like, no, the underground belts will reach each other, so I think it looks better when you actually have them next to each other. But the only problem is that one power pole being in the way. But it should make a difference, because I can actually come in either side of that splitter and it will work just fine. I'm actually, this takes a while for me to actually place it down, because I'm actually fighting myself. So the next one I actually put down, again, right between the poles, next one next to it. I thought I was going to, oh, yeah. Then I run into the fact that there is actually a tree in the way. So you can actually so instead of like placing it down or like selecting it to be deleted, it doesn't work unless it's completely clear. So when you get these big, long blueprints, it's a pain in the butt. So the first one's iron, second one's copper. Now I'm going to put down my steel production one. Now I'm going to put that one again in the middle, but this one's going to be a little bit closer just to have that. But unfortunately, it's not working because I have more trees in the way. I think one of them was a rock, but I don't remember. I could go back and find out, but it's not that important. So I do one steel, and then I actually put another furnace set down, just a regular furnace set, to be stone. Now, the problem here is I actually get really close to our power generation. So when we do stone brick, which actually relies on feeding stone into that furnace system, I was going to put it over there, but then I was like, I can't do that. So I instead decide to just put it over here and deal with the consequences of being that close later. Now, that should only be one stone line, so I shouldn't have too many problems with it, but we will eventually see. So I actually have to mine more trees. I have to chop down a few more trees or dead trees to get them out of the way. Now, I was going to set it up there, but I was like, no, that's way too far in, so I decided instead to go with it and put it next to the steel. I don't know if I do it here. I thought I did it. No, I set it down there, but then I'm like, no. I thought I did know. Yeah, I did know. And then unfortunately I accidentally select a couple of trees, so I don't really remember how to deselect a deconstruct order for the robots. So unfortunately I had to just go and mine the trees, which is not really unfortunate, but so yeah, at this point I decided, screw it, I'll put the 2 random pieces of processing there. and then I start looking at how those are going to connect. So that one I'm actually going to have to do a double underground belt for, just because it's a little bit further apart, but not that big of a deal. So now I'm going to start our research, because I need to get some of the research started so that I can actually build these, because I don't right now have the ability to produce splitters or underground belts. So, or the what I want to do is the automation side of things, so an automated assembler I don't have. So the other thing to get research packs is I need copper and I need iron, and also some of this stuff is actually out of power or out of fuel, so I actually have to put them in. Just putting a whole crud ton of coal in, and then I think I at some point will accident. So this is me fighting with myself of what I want to do first. I need to either do automation or I needed to do logistics. Now, I believe I went with automation first. I selected logistics, but I think I actually went with automation first, because I wanted to automate the actual production of red science. So I just manually fed that in, got logistics going, but now I need to put the power on, and I actually still created red science anyways. So I had to run over and actually turn the power on. Well, turn the power on. I actually have to feed it. So now we have power, and now we are actually producing science. Or, well, not producing science, but researching. So now I'm going to get some inserters built so that I can actually start to build our our actual furnace system, because those actually use it. Now, I also think to myself, I'm also saying, it actually looks pretty. So there's also a time delay with these, but, sorry. But I'm also just trying to fill those up as much as possible with what I'm producing. Now, the other thing, the one part of this game that's actually kind of annoying is when you do craft, it kind of toggles it up, and it's kind of a pain in the butt. I don't remember what I was talking about here. Oh, they're actually, each leg of these columns is actually 12 furnaces. So we need, I think I make 25 here just to cover it. So it's one extra, but that's fine. Extra is better than not enough. So automation is almost done here, and then and then logistics will kick in. So once I do logistics, yep, there we go. So now I'll research that. Now, oh, that's where I had that extra science pack. I was trying to figure out why I had an extra science pack at the time, but I figured it out. So now I'm just going to lay out my electric poles, because I do have those already, so I'm actually able to do that while I wait. Now, there and there and there. Now the other thing is too, with the grass, you can't really see some of that, but when you actually place down items, it will actually get rid of the grass, which is nice. Set that up. Now all of these power poles now have power. I think I was going to put another one here just for redundancy, but I decided against it. So I think at this point I was needing... Oh yeah, I was going to start setting up my coal production. Because I did have a couple of mining drills set up. Or set up to be built. is what I should say. He's growing that final little red science pack I had to put in. Because it needs 20, so I wanted to make sure that all of them were in there. I was like, wait a minute. Did I make all of them? Yeah, it needs 20. Okay. Yeah, I questioned myself a little bit this episode a couple of times. It's like, wait a minute. But yeah, so for... I had noticed the landfill there. That's actually... So if you have a bus or you're building something and there's water in the way, they now actually have a research where you can actually use stone to build land to actually fill in the water. I have done it before. It is expensive to do landfill. Unless you have like a fully... if you have a fully operational base to actually produce landfill material, it takes way too long. Now, I was running out of stone, so I ran over and I threw some more coal in there to keep producing. Now, eventually, we will have our miner set up so that we can not have to worry about that anymore. So, I actually... Now, there's a thing with the miners here. So, what you'll see sometimes is that... So, the outline of it is actually where it's going to mine. But that green outline is actually... Well, once I show it again, yeah. The green outline is actually where it reaches to for material. So there's a lot of people that will actually put it right up against each other. So there's actually a big column that actually will get quote-unquote double mined. So this is more set up for if you want a lot of resources quickly. If you want to basically burn down an ore patch fairly quickly and get more resources out of it. I usually play with it spaced out. Now, it produces less, but it covers more area and it lasts longer. So that's kind of the trade-off you get with how you set these up. Is if you put them closer together, you get more ore per whatever the time frame is. But if you put it farther apart, you get more ore over time. Eventually, you get the same amount of ore. It's just how fast do you want it. Now, I'm setting these up, and I'm trying to figure out how I actually want to set these up. Because I'm not entirely sure how I wanted to, but because the actual space in the middle of these is actually where you put your conveyor belts. So you are technically having to, when you do two sides of a thing, you are technically double mining. So unless you put conveyors, but you won't. I don't think you will ever really need to worry about that. But so your middle point is always going to be, so now I got to put power down, so I'm going to put power there. Now, I start thinking about it right about here, but I want to run my power. I have to run power just right. Up, and then over. So this is kind of how the coal is going to follow. It's going to follow this line, and I run out of poles. Sadly. So I think I need to make another 50. These are actually quick to make. These are easy. So then I'm looking. Oh yeah, I hadn't had the original mining blueprint that I was going to use. So that one actually has it like really close together and the conveyor out that way. But I actually go after this episode, between the episodes, and I do a little bit of research. So, but finish running that. Now I run this a little bit weird and kitty-cornered because it won't line up perfectly, but that actually gets fixed in the next episode. So all you guys OCDing that, oh, it's not straight, it's not straight, don't worry about it. So I go with, did I go with electronics here? Oh no, I stagnate for a little bit because I actually ran out of red science packs. So I look here and I actually go to... I actually contemplate making the research station, but from this episode, in the next episode, we're actually going to build our smeltery points, get all of our power systems set up with automated coal and all that stuff. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm going to leave it here while the video kind of runs its course. But again, as I always say, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Please hit the like button if you did. If you have any tips, tricks, comments, whatever, leave it down below in the comment section. I will check it out. I get every comment. I look at every single one. So if you have like if you have hints or something I'm doing wrong or something I should be doing, let me know. And then of course, as always, please hit that subscribe button. Let me see the love. New videos on the channel pretty often nowadays. Again, I am splitting it up with my streaming schedule, but I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.